Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Medley-Rath, and in this video I'm going to explain how to find reliable and trustworthy news sources. So I'm going to introduce you to a few resources you can use to help you identify really good news sources for whatever projects you're working on or just for in everyday life. So first off, I've got 3 media bias websites I'm going to show you briefly. I'm not going to spend too much time, but I want to introduce them to you. So this one is from a website called AllSides Media Bias. And their chart categorizes news sites based on if they're center, if they lean left, if they are, right, left, etc. Okay, so this is one quick, easy way to check things out. One thing I do want to point out is that in some cases you will see a news source in multiple categories. So for example, the Wall Street Journal, its news coverage is listed as center, but its opinion section is listed as right. Similarly, the New York Times, its news section is listed as leaning left. Its opinion section is listed as left-leaning. And of course, if you read or watch any of these news sources on here, you can probably find an example of something that doesn't neatly fit into the category that it's categorized as. But this is in general where these different news sources fall. So that is important to keep in mind if you are consuming them with any regularity, and especially if you are really focusing in on finding accurate, credible research independent of their perspective. Okay, so this chart actually, it points out that it does not reflect their accuracy or credibility. It's only their perspective. So some of these I would definitely use, like Reuters. Definitely use that for news. I personally find them pretty credible and fairly accurate. BBC News, I would say the same. Some of these others, I'm not as familiar with necessarily, or don't use them as often, so I wouldn't want to categorize them. The next one is this media bias chart from AdFonts. It adds a whole lot of additional information. So if you look on this left-hand side here, at the bottom, it says these are the sites that contain inaccurate and fabricated information. Then you have some that contain misleading info. So some maybe they are technically telling the truth, but they're being very misleading in how they are reporting whatever the story might be. So I'm not familiar with very many of these. OAN is one that I'm aware of, so that's one that is identified as containing misleading info. Alex Jones is also one that probably most people have heard of, and I mean, he makes stuff up. This chart says that. It's not just my opinion. If you go up the chart, then we've got selective, incomplete, unfair, persuasion, propaganda, or other issues. So again, there may be some you're familiar with. Opinion or wide variation in reliability. This is what fits here. We're starting to get a little bit more reliable, a little bit more trustworthy information, that there's analysis or wide variation in reliability. So again, you really got to put on your critical thinking hat when you are reading or watching these programs. Then we start to get mix of facts of reporting and analysis, or simple fact reporting up here. So there may be some analysis, it may be just the facts. But of course, people decide which facts that they are reporting and which facts that maybe they're leaving out. So you do have to keep that in mind. And then up at the very top, thorough fact reporting or fact dense analysis. So not too many fit up here. The Pew Research Centers, I don't know, that's kind of surprising to me to even see on here, because I don't think of it as like a news source at all. They, they do surveys and report the results of those surveys. I suppose they are written up as like blog posts, and it finds its way in a lot of news sources, but But this is just another chart you can check. The third website I'm going to take you to is the Media Bias Fact Check. And on this website, you can actually search a news source to see how it is categorized. So I'm going to pick one that is close to me, the Indy Star, the newspaper out of Indianapolis. And maybe I need to click that. And here it's going to give you the results for that source. So it is saying it is least biased, factual reporting is high, it's rated as least biased, high credibility, how it's owned. So this is another source you can look. So once you have found a news source, you could go to the Media Bias Fact Check website and get more in-depth information about it. Like the charts are nice for very quick down and dirty, like, how much bias is there. But I think, once you have found a source, looking it up on here would be very helpful to get that more context for why it may be categorized as biased or not. Okay. So let me see what's up next on our agenda. So the next thing I wanted to show you is how you can find reliable, trustworthy news sources, right? Our first instinct these days is just to go to whatever search engine is available to you or that you use commonly. And if you are a college student, you should have access to a database. So I'm going to show you the database that I use, that I have access to. So you're going to go to the university library's website. You're going to find databases listed somewhere on that site, and then you're going to look up the database called Nexis Uni. So I go to the ends, and there it is. And it's going to make me log in. I'm going to pause. All right, so I am logged in now. And this is what Nexis Uni looks like. If you are already on your college campus, you probably don't have to log in at all. But if you're off campus, you're going to have to log in. So you can just type in any topic. And I'm going to look at, is a college degree worth it? I'm just going to leave everything else alone for the moment just to see what comes up. But Nexis Uni accesses newspapers, press releases, those kinds of things. So here we've got Casper College Chinook. I'm guessing this is probably a college newspaper. Yeah, it's from University Wire, so that's where it's coming from. The Irish Times, so an international newspaper. USA Today Online, right? You've probably heard of that. You've probably read USA Today before. Futurity, I don't know what that is. Thai News Service, but this is a US based news. So you get all these news sources, okay? But we ended up with over 5,000 hits. It's just so much. So I want recent information, not stuff from a really long time ago. So I'm just going to look in the last year. I want to know, if I want to know if a college degree is worth it, let's look at what's happening recently. So the last year. We can also narrow down things even more. Because that narrowed it down to about 2,000 sources. You may end up with multiple languages here. This one, almost everything is in English. I'm just going to leave it alone. Sometimes there's a lot of other languages, and it can just be a way to clear out a few hundred additional sources real quick. You can look at your source type. I am interested in newspaper coverage of this specifically. Okay, so that narrows it down to 89. So let's see if there's any other way. You can look at all of these and narrow things down a little bit more. You can exclude some keywords from the search. So if somebody is writing about this question in obituary, then I don't want to see the obituaries. But we're down to 89. So with 89 results, that's actually not that many for if you're doing this for an assignment to go through and find your sources. So that's one place you can check for news sources. You would just click this open and get the whole result. Because you're not always a student, your public library will also have access to databases. So my public library is pulled up, and here I can just look up newspaper. So it may not be quite as powerful, but my local public library has access to 4 different databases that have access to newspaper coverage. So, you know, I would log in with my library credentials. In some cases, you may have to create an additional account, but I can do a search very similarly to what I just showed you in the university website. But your public library also has subscriptions to all kinds of newspapers. Lastly, I wanted to show you just basic Google search. And if I put in, is a college degree worth it? I think that's what pulled up. No. Okay. Is a college degree worth it? So if I search this, I get all kinds of stuff. I get the terrible AI overview. Look, Pew Research is the first thing that comes up. New York Times, but we also get Reddit, you know, a couple of universities. But what I can do, because I want news sites, I don't want blogs, I don't want Reddit forums, I want news things. Okay, so if I hit this tab for news, now most of what's going to pull in are news stories. There's going to be some stragglers that make their way in, but most of this is news. So Miami Herald, Bloomberg, and then once I have that, like with Bloomberg, I could go back to my media bias and I could say Bloomberg and see what they say about it. I'm not sure if I spelled that right. Yep. It says left center bias. So mostly factual, maybe a little bit left leaning. So, you know, that's important information to know if I decide that I'm going to read the thing from Bloomberg. But, you know, and I'm just picking on Bloomberg. You could do this for any of these websites. And that's how you can find news sources using just a basic Google search. Whatever search engine you use, they're often going to have a way to just narrow things down to news sources. So you're getting hopefully a little bit better quality information, but it's still upon you to evaluate the source itself in terms of like, is this trustworthy? Is it accurate? Is there bias associated with it before you decide, yeah, I can use this information for my paper or to make informed decisions in my daily life. Okay. And I think that's everything. Yeah. So that's everything I've got for you on finding reliable, trustworthy news sources. So I'll leave this up for just a moment so you can see what those websites are, and I will make sure that they are in the notes for this video. And I'll see you next time.